looking at it and I don't understand it at all. Is
Now I need to do that too.
Yeah, let's search this up real quick. In the Hebrew letters. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. Before we get started with this amazing topic, let's introduce our individuals next to us.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm 19 years old, currently studying computer engineering at Cal Poly, and I just finished up a summer counseling at Mount Hermon.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm 20. I'm currently studying nursing at Hawaii Pacific, and I also just finished up a summer working at Mount Hermon.
For hiring, by the way, not sponsored, but if you guys want a summer, get an excuse to get out of the city or go to Santa Cruz, beautiful area. It's also a Christian camp, which brings up the question: if Jesus had to sign legal documents, how would his signature be? What would it look like, and why would it be the way it is?
That's interesting. Well, you see, my mind initially goes to the classic Jesus fish, right? Like, because I know when I signed documents, like back when I first had a signature, I was trying to go with the whole fancy thing of, like, you know, writing out my whole name in cursive. But then I realized I didn't know how to write in cursive. So then I just switched to writing a B and a scribble and a T and a scribble. And so I think, like, the Jesus fish, you know, it's nice, short, sweet, just go like, whoop, and then there you go.
That is a big possibility too, because especially when it comes to cursive J's, there's so much you can do. You can do a big loop on the top, and then do a small little loop, and then create a fish for Jesus Christ.
I mean, I wouldn't know because, as I said, I don't know cursive. But
You never learned cursive?
no, well, I learned it and then I forgot it because it wasn't applicable to my life.
I think he wouldn't use like the cursive J. I think he would use like a regular J that like then looped into like some swirls pretending to be letters. And then I think he would have one of those tails that like goes back and underlines the name.
That's a possibility, but not to mention too, like we're thinking about this in American English hieroglyphic. What the heck is that terminology called?
Didn't even think about that.
Lettering.
Lettering, yeah, there it is. So how would that be a thing? How would he sign it, or what would be signatures at that time?
Let me look up Jesus in Hebrew. The original lettering. Okay, so I'm looking at it and I don't understand it at all.
Now I need to do that too.
Yeah, let's search this up real quick. In the Hebrew letters.
It's very fancy looking.
Oh wow, yeah.
A lot of hieroglyphics.
Because I believe the thing with Hebrew is it's also a language that is read right to left instead of left to right, which means we definitely have to take that into consideration. You're like writing the signature but backwards.
Oh.
From what?
Like it would start with S.
No, like you read it the other way too.
You read it the other way, but like when you
sausage like that.
Like I can't imagine writing backwards, so.
That's how you know I'm bored in class, when I start taking notes backwards.
You can do that?
I might have done that a few times, but I got bored.
That's impressive. Low-key flex.
Take notes upside down when class was really slow.
That's a power move, just doing it upside down. Yeah. I might teach my kiddos to do that.
Oh, that'd be fun. But, you know, going back to the topic again, I think, like, it was important to remember that, like, you know, Jesus presented himself as a very, you know, average man, and therefore he would probably have a pretty I guess, average signature. It wouldn't be like something incredibly fancy like you would expect from like the Emperor of Rome or some such.
That is true. And at that time, although Jesus did have, he is fully man, not part man. He is fully man and fully God. Would you say he has the infinite knowledge? Because if we're just focusing on God being a man, even though we're not supposed to, his education is that of a carpenter. So
yes, that's back to like what I had brought up before of like, would he really know how to write? He's a carpenter. I don't know.
Well, I think like if the need arose, he could obviously write because he, performs
And
miracles.
do you think that his signature would be unique to him? Because like, if you don't know how to write necessarily super well, this makes me think of when I had the preschoolers, they would copy whatever I write. And so do you think that he would like mimic something he had seen, or like would it look kind of generic because it would look like other people's signatures? Or do you think that his would be like unique?
Not sure.
That's a great question. Going on the idea that a lot of individuals would mimic other people when it comes to writing, I would argue Jesus would do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets a little confusing because obviously Jesus isn't just fully man; he's also fully God. So he's capable of doing everything.
Yeah, well, it also raises an interesting point. If Jesus was trying to demonstrate how he is fully God and fully man, and since he came to save all of us, like if his signature was a very like common thing or like mimicked a lot of other signatures, it could be an interesting parallel there.
If he was a math nerd such as ourselves, could it be, hypothetically speaking, two parallel lines? Perfectly straight parallel lines. Like, it looked like you used a ruler to make those lines straight.
Those are good. I like that one. Because he is a carpenter, so he would have to know not necessarily like math in terms of numbers, but you have to have a sense of math to do carpentry.
True. Very true. Although the math doesn't add up, 5 loaves of bread and 2 loaves of fish to millions and millions. Interesting thing though about that. So in the book of John, totally transitioning from like signatures and stuff, but in the book of John, the miracle of that, that is something totally different. But anyways, it has to do with fish and numbers. So it is when Jesus meets the apostles after Jesus died on the cross. So there's Peter and I think a couple other disciples. They go fishing and they couldn't catch any fish. And suddenly a man approaches them and says, "Hey, throw your nets on that side." And long story short, they threw the nets, got a bunch of fish. And in the book of John, everything is written for a reason. So the number was, I think, like 355. It was a very odd number. So when they searched it, so I was curious as a math nerd. I'm like, why is it this number? And the whole reason about that has to do with some mathematics. Where was I going with this? I really don't know. I just kind of lost my train of thought with it. But yeah, numbers are a thing. Carpenter, I think. Precision. Jesus Christ.
Oh, they're about, it's 153 fish.
There it is. Not 500. Yeah, 153.
I never really thought about that number and it having significance. I just was like, oh, that's a lot of fish. But
and we need to take into consideration too, at that time, even though nowadays 100 isn't even much,
Mhm.
At that time, food was very scarce, so any amount of food, let alone any number, was a great number.
Yeah, well, especially like I don't know if you've ever gone fishing, but like it takes a hot second to catch anything.
And it's not totally even every day. So there are days that you only catch one thing, and then there are days that you catch like 5 fish is a great day.
That's very
Yeah.
true. Have any of you guys got fishing before?
I've tried it. It was I have to say it wasn't my favorite thing ever because I don't really like eating fish, and you just kind of sit by a pond or a lake or whatever for a long time.
I've been fishing 3 times and I've never caught anything. But the most recent time I went fishing, my friend dropped all of our bait into the ocean.
Oh no.
All of the bait in the middle of the night into the ocean. It was great. It was a great time.
Did you guys catch anything? Did you guys
No.
have to go bear hunting? Or was it like grab fishing with your hands?
Nope.
How I've never seen anyone. Where you
That's how they
just
catch,
reach
like,
into the
catfish.
water and snatch it?
Well, that's how they catch like catfish. Is like you go and you stick your hand into a hole, and then you grab the fish. It like bites your
really?
hand, and then you yank your hand out, and it's holding onto you.
That's right, because they don't have teeth or anything, right? They just kind of like nibble.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do have teeth, they're not that large. Like,
Oh, that's weird. I didn't even know that.
Like a toddler trying to nibble on you, and you find out that they're growing teeth. So when they let go, you have a little bit of blood. So yeah, that's a thing.
Wow, we got very sidetracked.
Yeah, that's the joys of unscripted, where
Well, I mean, the fish does tie in very nicely to my proposal that his signature would just be the standard Jesus fish. Because this is a very, very simple thing someone who's untrained in writing would probably be able to do.
it's true.
And all of his disciples are fishermen, or most of them, anyway.
Well. Can you say Judas? This is kind of like getting a little controversial, but can you say Judas was a fisher of men too?
Like a fisher of men or a fisherman?
A fisher of men. We know he was a tax collector. So
Well, I think that you can definitely, like, even if you stray away from doing the work of God later on in life, I don't think that, like, that doesn't mean God wasn't working through you before. Like, I think God certainly was working through Judas back when he was a follower of Jesus. And in that way, he would have been a fisher of men at that point. And then even then, like, God was still in a way working through him when he betrayed Jesus, because that needed to happen.
I'm fully circling back to the signature thing. They were like not writing on paper, right? Like
Well, not they have paper. Didn't they
like
have paper?
parchment, but not like paper, not like what we're thinking of, where it's like a nice, smooth, fresh paper, right? And like
Yeah. Mario holding up a reference.
I got
to
you.
fresh paper.
Reference paper.
Will the record show?
I got
It's not fresh. It's written on.
my devotions on here, so it's okay. 1 Samuel and Hebrews 2:7. All right.
So like, do you think that had an effect on what it would look like? I don't know. I think it would. Because like a lot of like like scribes of the time period were writing on like wax tablets and like skins.
True.
And
maybe
like
even-
parchment or there's another word and I cannot think of what it is.
Wood.
That too.
That's what comes to mind personally. Just the wood and just hitting things with a nail. Carving it.
No, I think
What were you gonna say, Brandon?
in that time period they had like the feather pen with ink.
Yes. Wait, your quill?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Where you dip it in ink or like a paint.
But I think I would wonder because like if as a fisherman you were like trading your fish in at the market, would you need to like sign off on that or something?
Oh.
Hmm.
No, I bet it was word of mouth. With
Possibly.
the verbal agreement. I feel like written agreements probably weren't that popularized.
Yeah, because it was still very much a barter system at the time.
Yeah. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like that would be like too many people.
It's interesting too because obviously us growing up in this time, we're used to so many things the way it is, and at that time, and looking at the past, we're wondering like, how did they live that life? But they didn't know anything. They didn't know the things we know now.
Like, how did the first kind of banks run? Like
Say
the
that
first banks, like the first banks of the world. Like, how did those really work?
Scammers.
So many things that it's like you just know what it is today, and you know like the history of them, but like, what did it actually look like to be part of that and walking around in that time period?
It is
It's
true.
crazy.
There is a currency reference, and I want to say Matthew. It talks about, it's a well-known Bible verse that talks about taxes, like give to Caesar what is to Caesar, give to God what is to God. So there is currency, there is taxes and governmental finances, if that's even the term, which I would assume could tie into like banks and stuff like that, right?
Well, I think there would definitely exist like loans back in the day, like with interest. But I think for the most part, you just kind of held on to your money because, like, where even modern banks exist is you put your money there and then they invest it. And
not to mention too, with like debt and stuff, there are documents and records that people would go into like slavery due to not having the finances, so they'll make up with it. They make up time for their debt.
Indentured servants, yeah.
yeah. And then there is also that story about the parable of the debtor or person who's in debt who has his debt forgiven.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, I'm not sure how official all of that stuff was, or if it would like have signatures or anything, or if because I imagine that would be one of the jobs of a scribe would be to keep sort of track of all of that stuff.
That is true, and then that kind of brings up the idea: how did they keep track of all this information? So there needs to be like some form of writing or some easy way.
I imagine someone like Matthew, who was a tax collector at a tax booth, would have had a ledger or some such.
This will be an interest. This is a Mario question to ask for sure. Talking about social classes in regards to like riches and poor, were any of the disciples? I know a lot of them were working class disciples, but working class individuals. Did Jesus ever bring individuals who were from a higher class?
I would say Matthew would probably have been the wealthiest, I imagine. Sure.
Now I'm curious too. Hey Siri, who was the most wealthiest disciple before meeting Jesus?
Was Saint Joseph of Arimathea, who bought Jesus' tomb, I believe, but that's not one of the 12.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, you're right. It's the Matthew. Matthew, according to learningreligions.com, Matthew the apostle has been a dishonest tax collector, driven by greed until Jesus Christ chose him as a disciple. Tax collectors, maybe greedy. No, not all the time, but a lot of them are. But with that being said, finances are fun, signatures are always creative, and yeah, that's about wraps it. We're signing off, pun intended. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have your own opinions, you have your own thoughts, let us know. You guys have your own signatures. We don't really do it on YouTube, but send us on Instagram. Our Instagram is going to be down in the link below. Thank you guys for watching again, and we'll see you guys next time.